Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that it's not very easy for me to talk about. Because you see, I love music theory. As it's evident even from the name of this channel, Music Theory for Guitar, I think music theory it's a great invention that makes our lives as musicians much easier, that saves a lot of time and effort, that makes us all better musicians. On the other hand, I have to recognize that as music theorists, we made an absolute mess of things. And this mess keeps coming back haunting us and makes life harder for some people, and sometimes this turns people off music theory. What am I talking about? Well, you see, the situation is this, is that sometimes music theory is completely illogical. Let me give you a very simple and non-controversial example so that later I can go into the very controversial example that is the meat of this video, okay? You guys know your musical intervals. If you take, for instance, a C major chord, it's made by the notes C, E, G. The interval between the notes C and G is called a major third in music theory jargon. The interval between the notes E and G is called a minor third, always in music theory jargon. Now, the interval between C and G is called a perfect fifth. So, if I stack an interval of a third on top of another interval of a third, I'm getting a fifth. That is, in music theory, 3 plus 3 is 5. Who thought this was a good idea? Now, it's absolutely natural that things like that happen in music theory. After all, music theory was not developed by a single person. It was developed, in fact, over the span of several centuries by people living in different countries well before the invention of the internet, and those people were speaking different languages, they had difficulty communicating, and sometimes they didn't even want to communicate with each other. So as it happens, the music theory we are handed down today is a hodgepodge of different ideas mixed into each other and packaged more or less in a way that is communicable and barely so. Take, for instance, the name of the notes. In some country we call the notes with letters, in some other country we call the note with syllables, and sometimes the association of letters and note is not exactly the same, but that's not the main problem. The problem is that we use the letters to indicate both the notes and the chord. So, for instance, if I'm telling you to play a C, are you playing a C note or a C major chord? Now, of course, when you notate this down, there is no problem. In notation, the C note is this sign on the score, and the C chord is this letter on top of the score. But if we are speaking with each other, we need to specify, play me a C chord or a C note. But this is not a big problem yet. Let me get into the big and controversial problem. The big and controversial problem happened when, during the 20th century, we started notating the jazz chord. So, for instance, let's take the chord C major 7. C major 7 chord contains the notes C, E, G, B. We all agree that this chord is made by this note, and we all agree that this chord is called C major 7 when we talk with each other. The thing we don't agree on is how to write these in symbols. And let me be really open and clear about this. Everybody thinks that the way they spell the chord is the one true way of chord notation. And yet, here are a few ways of writing this chord down that I actually found in scores or in books. I found the C major 7 chord notated C, MA 7. I find it notated C triangle, C with a little triangle on top and a 7 on the side, C with a 7 but slashed, with the slash indicating the major 7 as opposed to the dominant 7, C maj 7, C MA 7 but the MA is in cursive, C maj 7 again with the maj in cursive, C big M 7, C7. Oh yes, that's not a mistake. In some books, C7 indicates the C major 7, not C dominant 7, and the C dominant 7 is indicated with a different symbol. C plus 7 and C7 plus. Notice that sometimes those last two symbols are used instead to indicate the C augmented, C, E, G sharp, B flat. Now, at this point, if you want, you can rage in the comment about how much some of those notations are wrong. Please go right ahead and vent everything you have inside. Don't hold back. Write all your feelings in the comment. The thing is this: I found all of those symbols used somewhere. I'm not inventing anything. Different people in different musical communities are really notating these chords in different ways. I'm just reporting what I found. Personally, I don't really care which one of those is the one true symbol for C major 7. What I can tell you is that the two most common ones are C MA7 and C triangle. In a pretty amusing episode, once I've seen two people on social media insulting each other because one of them was using C MA7 and the other was using C triangle. The person that liked CMA7 stated that C triangle was completely wrong and no respectable jazz player would ever use it. The person like C triangle said, well, if it's good enough for John Coltrane, it's good enough for me, because yes, John Coltrane used C triangle. It turned out at the end of the discussion that both those people were professors of music theory at two different jazz colleges. You can take the conclusions you want. But let's see more notational horror. Let's say you want to notate a C major 9 chord. The C major 9 chord is made by the notes C, E, G, B, and D. And again, we all agree that this chord is called C major 9. We all agree that the notes are those. We all agree on how to play it and where to use it and how it sounds. The only thing we don't agree is how to write it down. I find those chords notated these ways. The most common way I found is C, MA, 9. Sometimes with the MA in block letters, sometimes in cursive letters. Followed very close by C maj 9, sometimes again in block letters, sometimes in cursive letters. C triangle 9. C9, open parenthesis, triangle, close parenthesis. C7/9, remember that in some notation 7/ means major 7. C7, open parenthesis, +9, close parenthesis. I have no idea what was going through the mind of the person notating these, so please don't ask. C9, open parenthesis, maj 7, close parenthesis. C9/triangle, C triangle/9, and my personal horror favorite, C with a /9. Remember again that the slash indicates major 7th. So, wow! I stress again that I found all those notations in actual scores and in actual books of music theory. We can stay here and discuss for hours about which ones of those symbols are correct and which one are not, which one are practical and which one are not, and what are the right characteristics of a chord symbol system so that it's practical for a musician but not too hard, etc., etc. There have been many proposals on what to do here, and I applaud those proposals in trying to systematize the whole thing, but ultimately I think those proposals are going to fail. Why? For the same reason I'm not proposing my own perfect definitive notation. The reason is this. So if your question is why nobody does anything about this absolute mess, that's the reason, because the moment you do something about this mess and introduce the perfect chord notation system, this is just one extra system that you or maybe your friend use, but it doesn't change the fact that other people are using different systems. So what can we do? How do we change that? Well, they say that music will change the world, so maybe we should write a song about this? But seriously, this mess is here to stay. My opinion is that as musicians, we need to get used to the idea that out there is more than one chord notation system, and that we need to get used to read our chords in any way they are written so that we can play in as many different gigs as possible. Again, personally, I don't really care too much about discussion of this is right, this is wrong. They are used. I personally choose to deal with the situation as it is and just make the best of it. So again, my suggestion is to stop thinking as your way as being the only possible right, true way, Embrace the fact that there are different communities of musicians out there and that those different communities write the chord in a different way, and concentrate on the important thing. Concentrate on making music. And of course, if you do want to know more about chords and harmony, and I don't just mean their symbols, but how they work and how you can make music with them, I totally recommend you check my course, Complete Chord Mastery. This is a complete video course studied to teach chord progressions, and everything there is to know about harmony specifically to guitar players. We do our theory straight on the fretboard so that it's most useful and most intuitive for any guitar player. This makes it different from most of the courses out there who are just explaining you theory on the piano. We don't use pianos in this course. Everything is done on the guitar for guitar players. If you have a minute, click on the link and check it out. If you like this video, smash on that like button and don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification button, otherwise YouTube will not tell you when I put up a new video. And if you have any comment, feedback, suggestions for new videos, please write them down in the comment. I really enjoy reading your comments. This is Tommaso Zilio of musictheoryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy.